This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
As oil prices have surged past $80 a barrel, U.S. oil and gas producers are paving the way for faster production by expanding new well completions in the Permian Basin of West Texas and New Mexico, the country's top shale oil field, according to research data. The number of pressure pumping units at work in the Permian rose 5% in December, over the previous month, analysts at Tudor, Pickering, Holt & County said. Pressure pumping is one of the last steps required to complete a well. The Permian will account for vast majority of this year's projected boost in U.S. output of up to 900,000 barrels per day. Output fell last year to about 11.18 million barrels of oil per day on storm-related cutbacks and as demand collapsed during the pandemic, according to government data.
Europe's gas storage levels are still below the 5-year average, with prices expected to remain elevated despite the arrival of liquefied natural gas, LNG, cargoes to offset limited Russian pipeline flows. The region's storage levels have been unusually low since last winter, which has been partly responsible for wholesale prices to shoot up to unprecedented highs that have put some suppliers out of business and inflated household bills. The power price shock along with high oil prices also added to wider inflationary pressure.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The transition away from fossil fuels towards clean energy is complicated and the world needs to be flexible to avoid sacrificing energy security, Saudi Arabia's energy minister said on Wednesday. Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud also told a mining conference in Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest exporter of crude oil, that the kingdom planned to use its vast uranium resources to develop a nuclear power program. The minister said he was still worried about the energy transition and that it needed to be thought through carefully.
Oil prices hit 2-month highs on Wednesday on tight supply and easing concerns about the potential hit to demand from the Omicron coronavirus variant. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said on Tuesday the economy of the United States, the world's biggest oil consumer, should weather the current COVID-19 surge with only short-lived impacts and was ready for the start of tighter monetary policy. Brent crude futures were up 42 cents, or 0.5%, at $84.14 a barrel at 12:11 GMT. Next, we have the top news in metal. Nickel prices surged to their highest in a decade on Wednesday as investors bet automakers will have to scramble to secure supplies for their electric vehicle batteries as inventories dwindle. Nickel was the top performer among industrial metals, which also rallied as worries eased about economic growth in top metals consumer China. 3-month nickel on the London Metal Exchange jumped as much as 4.4% to $22,745 a ton, the highest since August 2011. It paired gains to $21,970 in official open outcry trading, up 0.8%.
Companies mining in Mali have not so far been impacted by tough economic sanctions imposed on the country by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, they said, telling investors their mines can withstand potential supply disruption. Mali is one of Africa's biggest gold producers, with mining contributing around 10% of its gross domestic product. Canadian miner B2 Gold's Fekola mine in Mali continues to operate normally and remains unaffected by the sanctions, Chief Executive Clive Johnson told Reuters. The regional group imposed the sanctions in response to Mali's delay to planned elections following a 2020 military coup.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India's palm oil imports in December fell from a year ago as a steep rally in prices reduced its discount to rivals, prompting refiners to increase imports of soy oil and sunflower oil, a leading trade body said on Wednesday. The country imported 565,943 tons of palm oil in December, down 27% from a year earlier, while soy oil imports jumped 22% to 392,471 tons, the Solvent Extractors Association of India said in a statement. Sunflower oil imports stood at 258,449 tons, up 10%, the trade body said. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.